Welcome to the lecture about how to get into entomology. I hope you're excited to learn. I am your presenter today, Entomolomorph. Uh, the subjects I will be talking about today is entomology as a career, how you can get into it, what you do as an entomologist, what you can do as entomology as a hobby, what I mainly do, how to get into the hobby, tools to identify insects, and some stories of other entomologists that I asked. Do you mind if I promo you on two Discords? Go for it. I appreciate it. All right. First off, we'll clarify that it's entomology, not etymology. Entomology is the study of insects, versus etymology, that's the study of origin of words. It's very different, but it's written very similarly and could be, yeah, you could mismatch them and call it etymology. But that would be incorrect because you can use etymology to study the origin of the word entomology, while I just study insects. First off, we'll go into entomology as a career. You mostly do this by academia. You can do it other ways as well, but this is the most common and the most safe way to have a career in this field. You first off want to get into biology and then into zoology, which then leads you to entomology, the smaller animals in zoology. You want to have a bachelor, maybe a master's, and then if you want to get your PhD. The pros of this work is that you can work with insects and maybe as a researcher travel the world, which sounds really cool. Unfortunately, it is also not a very stable field. You will most likely not be able to find the best jobs and the best paying jobs. A lot of entomologists and biologists have to go into teaching. The cons is you have to go for a lot of data if you research something. A lot of your work has to do with dead insects, not a lot with live insects. And you spend a lot of time in labs where you study and have the optimal ways to observe insects. In the wild, it's hard to track insects, but it would be optimal if you could. What you can do as entomology as a hobby, there is a lot you can do actually. You can do beekeeping, which, yes, is entomology and has a lot of cool things you can do. We'll get into all the specific ones on the next few slides though. You can breed insects, you can be a photographer, you can just enjoy insects. That's kind of what I do. There are some entomological societies. Most countries have them, and they're pretty cool. You find same mind-like people. And you can do volunteer work as a conservationist. How do you get into the hobby? You inform yourself. This here counts as information, so you're already doing the first step. After this, you can read books, articles, and news. You can also watch my videos, which are informative about insects. You can just go outside with a net and some jars and look for insects. Try to identify them, see what you can find around you. You can, of course, take photos of it. Insect photography can look really great and can help seeing what is around you and helping the world to track insects around you. And you can either buy traps so that they come to you, or you can make them like I did. I did a DIY moth trap, which is rather easy to do, but this has one major problem. If there are not a lot of insects around you, you will not catch a lot. I have yet to catch a moth with my moth trap, unfortunately. Why would you want to get into it? 75% of all animals are insects. You would know with lamp. Yes, you would catch them with a lamp. It's very easy to build. Butterfly Conservations UK have a tutorial on it, if you would like to check it out. You know 75% of all animals then, if you study entomology. There are so many that it's really great to know what they do and who they are. They also have a huge impact on climate and impacts on ecosystems. You could help find out if one insect species is reducing, if they're close to dying out. You have endless knowledge. I mostly research moths and butterflies. And I have yet to research all of them. I have 160,000 species of just butterflies to read through. And of course, you can contribute to science, even as a hobbyist. When could you get into it? Right now. You can start right now after this presentation. Just go outside, find a bug, or read an article about, I don't know, the spongy moth and how it got introduced to America. Why it's so invasive, why it's hurting ecosystems. There is so much knowledge if you just type into Google entomology or insect or some insect that interests you. You can read up on ladybugs and how they're actually lady beetles and not bugs, because they're beetles, not true bugs. The optimal time would be spring, summer, and fall, because most insects are around at that time, especially summer. Spring, you will see a lot of caterpillars, and there are some insects around in winter, but that's mostly winter moths. There's also the December moth, which you can find. No, spongy moth, you were the chosen one. You can basically get into it all the time. You can research in winter and go outside in summer. Just go into the grass. Yes, touch grass. That's kind of how you get into it. Wasps are really in spring and in summer. Just find some, observe them, see what they do. Okay, first off, let's get into beekeeping, also known as apiculture. You can make your own honey, which is, you can run a small business of that. You can sell self-made honey. You can sell wax candles. You can observe bees. Bees are really interesting. Bees are social insects, which means they learn from each other. You can study this, and you can see how they dance to point to something. You can make a lot of cool observations with these. And it's minimal commitment. You don't need to care a lot about the bees. They will do most of the things themselves. Unfortunately, starting off with bees is kind of expensive, since you need places to put them, and you will mostly want more than one colony to make a profit. You can breed insects. That is something I recently read into a bit, because it's super interesting. I would want to breed moths, but they're not really that well made for, well, breeding, because they just kind of look cute. Not that much use for them. But something like a cricket or a cockroach is food for other animals. Reptiles tend to eat crickets, and you can then sell them. They also make adorable pets, some of them. If you want to get a pet, I recommend a jumping spider, because they're like the golden retrievers. Or you could, the domesticated silk moth is so adorable. Have you seen it? By breeding insects, you can also strengthen the ecosystem around you. Just make sure that they're not invasive there and destroy the ecosystem. You can also save a lot of species from extinction by just breeding them. Unfortunately, that is more high maintenance, since you kind of have to play parent to them. You have to feed them, make sure they actually hatch from their cocoons, etc., and that their molting goes well. Photography. Photography is so cool of insects. If you look at photomicrography, you will see pictures of how things look under a microscope. Look at the spider head. It looks like something out of a video game, but it's actually just a really close-up shot from a spider's head. Underneath you have a mosquito eye, one of the most hated insects, but look at how pretty those compound eyes are. And you see the little hairs? You would never see that without a microscope. Unfortunately, this is one of the most expensive ones, since you need a decently well camera and a microscope, which can be rather expensive themselves. But if you just want to look about them on Google, I get it. They're really cool. Just enjoy insects. Enjoy the beauty of insects. Look at the pretty butterflies. Look at ladybugs. Just enjoy them. You can just observe insects in the wild. No need to do anything with them. Just look at them, enjoy how pretty they are, read about them. Reading about insects is one of the most interesting things I do. I read a little fun fact about them and then get into a deep dive about a whole species or a genus. It's so great to just have this endless knowledge, and with the internet today, you can just go onto Wikipedia. Drawing insects. You will get to know some insect features by drawing them. Either you want to do cartoon drawings, which often turn out really cute, or you want to do real life drawings of them. I tend to scribble some of them. I am not the best artist, but it's really fun to try to make moth wings. It looks really great. And then the thing I do most, talk about insects. I love talking about insects because it's amazing conversation starters. Most people don't know a lot about insects, so you can teach them new things and fascinate them. A lot of people wouldn't know that there's a beetle that shoots acid, that the death's head hawkmoth invades beehives. It's just really cool fun facts you can bring up. According to some people, I have insect riz by just starting conversations about with an insect fact. Speaking of conversation, I planted evening primrose to attract death's head hawkmoth. That is so cool. Please let me know if you find some, and please take pictures. But if you want to touch them on the bottom of their wings, so you don't get rid of the scales on top. Now let's get into some more serious things, like entomological societies. Most people have them. Like, you can find them in most countries. You just Google entomological societies and your country behind it. They will probably have meetups for interested individuals. You might get a newsletter. And you have a community to talk about the thing you're all passionate about. The only real drawback you kind of have is that it's a small membership fee, like maybe $20 a year or something, but it's still a great way to have a community to talk about insects with. Wait, death's head hawkmoths sound like helicopters. They're really loud. But if you're lucky, you can hear them squeak to confuse bats. And they sound so adorable. Volunteer work. You can support charities. You can learn about some charities. There are a lot of charities out there that care about insects because insects are so important to our world. You can also network in these charities. A lot of people there are there because they care about insects and the environment. And if you're there, you probably do too. And it once again gives you a community with which you can talk about your passions and exchange how you got into entomology. What's your favorite insect? What fascinated you? There's a whole community you might not know about, but they want to know you. Everyone that loves insects loves talking about insects. Insect collections. I have a small insect collection. I have 4 pinned moths on my wall. 2 Lemantria dispar and 1 Actias luna. And of course the beautiful ghost silk moth that I cannot remember the Latin name for. Because I am bad with names. Insect pinning is really... It's not easy, but it's easy to get into. All you need is some needles or some pins and a dead insect. Please make sure it's a dead insect. Please do not... don't do it with live insects, please. First off, it's not going to be fun for you because it keeps moving. And second of all, it is very unethical. Framed collections. You can just buy these. A lot of Etsy sellers sell framed insects. If you find them pretty, buy them and hang them on your wall. They are great decor and great conversation starters if people come over. Like, oh, what's that moth you have on your wall? And you can go on a full-on rant that, oh yeah, that's the Luna moth, and they have no mouths, only live about a week. And the tails they have is to confuse bat sonar. And of course, they make beautiful art pieces. The ethical question of these is, up to you. A lot of people don't want these because, well, it's dead insects and it's kind of disrespectful to dead bodies. You would not have a dead human body in your room, most likely, except if you like oddities. But yeah, as long as you don't kill them on purpose for a collection, I think it's fine. I'll just give you some tools for identifying now if you tend to go outside and see insects. I really hope you photograph them so you can later see what you have found and share them with people. And according to a meme today, you have basically a Pokédex with iNaturalist. But if you want to ID it, I can help you. I love identifying insects. It's so interesting. And the more I do it, the better I get it. Because I will not be able to find out all 160,000 moth species by just Googling moths. I don't want to go through that Wikipedia list. I know it exists, but it's quite tedious. And like this, oh my god, that's a species I have never seen, and then I can tell you what it is. Other resources would be identification books. These still exist. I have some. They're really cool. They show you fun facts about them, some notable features of the insects, and multiple pictures usually. Male, females, the wings, and what to look out for. What I also tend to do is Google picture search. If you have a good picture from this insect, it will come up with a few suggestions of what that could be, because Google has a huge data bank of almost everything. Another good way of this is posting on iNaturalist. You give the location, you show people, hey, I found this, what is it? If you can give hints, great. If not, somebody will probably get it. I myself post on iNaturalist because I like documenting what I find in my area. That's just pretty cool for me. And it works like a real-life Pokédex. Reddit is also a great method if you want to post something and get feedback from others, but it is probably the slowest way. r/insects has some bug IDs, and please, if you post on any of these, give them a location. There are so many insects, and simply a location helps so much. r/entomology, which I frequently post on, because I love entomology. And all the stories that I have from other entomologists are coming from that subreddit. r/bug identification, I think the name says it all. And if you want to get more specific, because, well, you know it's a moth, just go into r/moths. They're really nice. But if you want to ask me and converse with me about insects, just @ me on Twitter. Post a tweet of the insect you found, @ me on it, and I will comment on it. I'll keep the area vague to prevent doxing myself. The country is usually, as long as it's the country, you know? And Europe the country, and maybe just add your state if you're in America. That's already really helpful. Because Texas is not Florida. They have different ecosystems and different species. For me, it's just, I always say Austria, because it's Austria and not Germany. People know what kind of bugs there might be in Austria. Alright, let's get into the stories of other entomologists. Bugs, bugs, bugs. Hello, Mother Cryptid! How are you? Welcome to the lecture. We're just going over stories of others and how they got into entomology. I have all of these from the subreddit r/entomology, and let's read them. Dr. Dirt PhD, that is a great name, by the way. In my last year of undergrad, I took an introductory entomology class because my advisor said it was easy and would balance the much harder 6-credit cell and molecular course I was required to take for my degree. We had a guest lecture on insect ecology that I found to be really fascinating, so I ended up doing an independent study with the professor for entomology research. I liked the project I worked on, so I ended up building off that with them for my master's, and then I did a PhD in a similar area. Before that one class, I wasn't really into insects at all. Yes, a lot of people don't know that they like insects because they don't know how much there is to them. If you look at an insect, it's like, oh yeah, it's a small bug on the floor. Nobody knows what it does. Oh no, my camera died. No. 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 Hold up. Uh-oh. Okay. Why did it do this? Well, I can use the time to just drink something. I have a coffee. If you didn't know, I love coffee. When the world needed the most, they vanished. How unfortunate. I want coffee. Go make a coffee. Coffee is great. Okay. Where were we? Yes. They got into insects off of one little class. Maybe I just inspired you to get into insects. It would be amazing if you do research on it and then you find out, oh my god, there is so much to these little bugs, because there really is. They don't even have blood. They have hemolymph, which you wouldn't know. They don't have they don't have a closed circulatory system like us. They don't have a backbone. They're invertebrates. The second one is so funny to me. Goddamn reptiles always hide from me when I go herping, despite me living in an area where gators show up on people's doorsteps. So I started looking at other shit outside. Appreciated how even if snakes and lizards were little assholes, I could always find a cool bug or two. Took an entomology class during my bachelor's, and now I like bugs better, to be honest. There are so many insects, and they're all around us. Maybe you don't even know it. Look at the long, tall grass. It's like going on a Pokemon search. Step into the tall grass, find a cool bug, and catch it, and then put it into your iNaturalist Pokédex. My personal interest sparked from doing macro photography. Yes, photography is so cool. Have you ever seen a pretty butterfly and wanted just to take pictures of it? And then you realized, oh my god, it's just little scales and veins. Then you do research on it. The entomology guy. I think he likes entomology. For me, it was a combination of my grandma always showing me cool bugs outside as a kid and watching various nature documentaries with my mom. If your family inspires you to do it, that's great. If doing it with people is so much more fun, being able to share what you found, having that sense of community. Original career wasn't a good fit, so I quit my job and went to graduate school for entomology. Never looked back. Quitting your job and doing what you like is great. Entomology is a huge sector where you can do so much. Wanted to work with invertebrates. Every Tom, Dick, and Jacques Cousteau wanted to work in the sea that left only land-based invertebrates, and I can't stand spiders. Process of elimination. I mean, that works. A lot of people do say shrimp is bug, so if you want to get into small animals, insects are great. And they are invertebrates. Snails could still be something for him. I doubt that he wants to, though. Jackalope Spaghetti. I love these names. Some of them are like, oh yeah, I do entomology, and the other is just your random Reddit user. I really loved mammalogy, so I started collecting mammal skulls, got into vulture culture, and really into the process of decomposition itself. So I like to find and observe animal carcasses being broken down. So a burying beetle, thought they looked cool, read about them, didn't realize bugs were that awesome, and somehow I'm now founder/president of my university entomology club and have 2 bug research projects going. Awesome animals. That is so great. That's what I mean with, you can always get into it, because it's so interesting. You see a bug you like and realize, oh my god, there is so much cool oh my god, I just realized. Thank you so much for the follow, MX Famalamp. Welcome. I forgot to enable notifications. I'm sorry. Where was I? Oh no, I got distracted. Yeah, just read up on insects you find are cool. if you see a cool beetle, read up on what kind of beetle it is. Realize, oh my god, maybe it's a scarab. You realize, oh wait, ancient Egyptians always had scarabs and there is so much history about them. Or dragonflies are older than dinosaurs, or sharks. There are so many cool facts that you might not know if you don't get into it. Consistent public 769. My father started a bug collection with me when I was about 4. Was also lucky enough to take a couple of courses in entomology with renowned Lepidopterist Dennis Profant before he passed, while getting a degree in forest management. We'll be starting a collection with my daughter this year. That is so cute. You got into it because of your dad, and now you're getting your daughter into it. It's like a family hobby at that point. That is so cute. Also, getting back at the at the one from before, there is forensic entomology, which is super interesting. They realize by how many insects are on the dead body, how long it has been killed for, and where it might have been killed. Because insects eat dead corpses, also from animals, but especially from people as well if they just land in a forest. Forensic entomology helps a lot for murder cases. Alright, welcome to my story. My entomology story. I am entomolomorph and I got into it like the spaghetti person. I saw the winter moth outside of my house. It was the first moth I had ever seen, and I was so fascinated by it. It looked so beautiful, although it's just a really normal brown moth usually. But usually you don't see moths in winter, and it was November. So I was like, oh my god, wait, there's a moth in November. I didn't know this was possible. So I googled about moths in winter, used Google picture search, and there I was, just researching for 2 days straight on winter moths and what other kind of moth species there are. Now I learned that it's entomology, got into all the different things, read a lot about beetles, and realized I really like moths, and I still think about this winter moth daily. Also, I'm getting it tattooed soon. Because it just started this great hobby for me. I just love it. Are you based off a winter moth for a model set? No, I am a spongy moth. The kind of moth that is very invasive. Because I invade your screen. Here I am, invading your screen space. I remember that people use bugs to strip carcasses to the bone for museums. That really was a drop. Yeah! They just feed on dead bodies and carcasses. Now, here I am today, and I'm teaching people about entomology, because it's my passion. I don't know if you realize it, but I am really passionate about insects. I will not shut up about them. I love teaching others. I have considered becoming a teacher because teaching is fun for me. And now that it's my hobby, I can share my hobby with everyone. And that leads us to today, where I hold a lecture about how to get into my passion, my hobby, and talk to you about how to ease you into it. Which is just so cool to me. And before doing this research, I didn't know how many things there are about entomology that you can do as a hobby. Because if you just look up entomology, you can very soon find out that it's a very academic field. And it is. If you want to be an entomologist as your job or as your career, you will most likely have to get into academia. That's why my model is also based on dark academia. But I want to show you that it's not just doing it as a job, but you can do it as a hobby and as your passion. Lamau, nice. I really like that for your model you picked a brown moth over a more vibrant color, since I usually see people pick like rosy maples or lunar moths. Anything that's super vibrant, so it's exciting to see a more neutral color. I picked it because I really like the dark academia vibe, and it just made sense to pick a more neutral color to it. And I don't want my bottle to be the main part of what I do. I want my content to be that. So my content should lure you in, insects should lure you in, and then you stay, because, well, I can teach you stuff. My main drawing point is my brain, not my body. It's very cool. Thank you. And it's so interesting that I've seen so many different VTubers now, and I didn't realize how many Lepidopterans there are. A lot of moths and butterflies, but I've also seen just straight up caterpillars. And doing this research on VTubers as well, which I might make a series on. Just what kind of species are these VTubers? What's a Lepidopteran? Lepidoptera is the family of... I'm here for the bugs! Hello! Lepidoptera is the family of butterflies and moths, because moths are not butterflies and butterflies aren't moths. So you call them Lepidoptera. A person that studies Lepidopterans is called a Lepidopterist. Thank you for the follow, Red Sutina. I still don't have alerts on. I should really get some. Welcome to the lecture. How are you today? Does anyone want to share how they got into entomology or their favorite insects? I'm always curious to learn what people like. I ask almost every insect VTuber, why did you pick that species? How did you pick it?